Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. First of all, thank you for the opportunity given to me to present this topic. My name is Giardeane Valeria from English Education Department, Class 4D. Today, I would like to discuss teaching English to young learners, commonly known as TEYL. This topic is very important because teaching children is fundamentally different from teaching adults. Teaching adults. Young learners have unique cognitive, emotional, social, and linguistic characteristics that require teachers to apply appropriate principles, methods, and classroom practice. In this presentation, I will explain the principles of TYL, language skill for young learners, the stage of teaching receptive and productive skills, several approaches, methods, and techniques commonly used in TYL, and the role of songs, games, and stories in supportive, effective English language learning. I will also provide a classroom case example to illustrate how this concept can be implemented in practice. Without further ado, let's begin. Uh, Teaching English to young learners. What is TYL? TYL refers to the process of teaching English to children, generally between the age of 5 and 12 years old. According to educational theories, children learn differently from adults. They tend to learn through concrete experiences rather than abstract explanation. They are naturally curious, imaginative, and enthusiastic, but at the same time, they often have shorter attention spans and may lose focus if learning activities are monotonous. For this reason, TYL emphasize active learning, meaningful interaction, and engaging classroom experiences. Teacher's role is not only to transmit knowledge but also to facilitate learning experiences that encourage exploration, creativity, and communication. For example, when teaching vocabulary about fruits, students are more likely to remember the word apple if they can see, touch, or even taste a real apple rather than simply memorizing the word from a vocabulary list. This example reflects the idea that young learners learn best when language is connected to meaningful experiences. So, ah, principles of TYL. There are several fundamental principles that guide effective English language teaching for young learners. The first principle is meaningful learning. Learning becomes more effective when new language is connected to children's prior knowledge and daily experiences. Children need to understand why they are learning something and how it relates to their life. So the second principle is learning through interaction. Language is essentially a tool for communication. Therefore, students should be given opportunities to interact with teachers and peers through meaningful activities. And the third principle is by doing. Learning by doing. Young learners often understand concept between better when they actively participate rather than passively listen. Hands-on activities, role plays, and movement-based tasks, and yeah, can enhance understanding. So the fourth principle is, yeah, motivation and enjoyment. Research in language learning suggests that positive emotion contribute significantly to successful learning. When children enjoy learning activities, they are more likely to participate and retain information. So the final principle is creating a supportive learning environment. Teachers should establish classroom atmosphere where students feel safe to make mistakes, ask questions, and express themselves. As future English teachers, understanding these principles help us to design lessons that are developmentally appropriate and learner centered. So yeah, language skill in TEYL. One of the main goals of English language teaching is to develop student communicative competence through the integration of four language skills. The skill can be divided into receptive skill and productive skills. Receptive skill consists of listening and reading. These skills involve receiving, processing, and understanding language input. So productive skills consist of speaking and writing. These skills require learners to produce language and expressing meaning. In PYL, receptive skill often provide the foundation for productive skill. Children usually listen before they speak and read before they write. Therefore, teachers should provide rich and meaningful language input before expecting students to produce language independently. For instance, after listening to a story and reading simple sentence related to the story, student may engage in speaking activities such as retelling the story or writing short responses. This sequence reflect the natural process of language acquisition. So, yeah, teaching receptive skill. Teaching receptive skill generally follows three instructional stage: pre, while, and post activities. In the pre-listening or pre-reading, pre-reading stage, teachers activate student background knowledge and generate curiosity about the topic. This stage is important because prior knowledge helps learners understand the information more effectively. During the while listening or while reading stage, students focus on comprehending the content. Teachers may provide guiding question or tasks to help students identify um, important information. And in the post listening or post reading stage, students consolidate their understanding through discussion, reflection, summarize, or follow-up activities. For example, when teaching a story such as the very hungry caterpillar, the teacher may first show pictures, and a student uh, may first show pictures and ask student to predict the story. During reading, students identify food mentioned by the caterpillar. After reading, students discuss the sequence of event and retell the story in their own words. So yeah, this structured approach help learners build comprehension gradually and meaningfully. So teaching productive skill. Productive skills requires learners to actively use language to communicate ideas and information. When teaching speaking, teachers often follow the presentation, practice, and production framework. During the presentation stage, the teacher introduced new vocabulary and language structures. During the practice stage, students participate in controlled activities that help them gain confidence and accuracy. Finally, during the production stage, students use the language independently in communicative situations. Similarly, writing interaction often includes modeling, guide writing, and independent writing. Teachers first provide examples, then support students through structured writing activities, and eventually encourage independent written production. For example, when teaching the topic My Family, students first learn family-related vocabulary. They then practice introducing family members orally before writing simple descriptive sentences about their families. This progression from support to independence align with the concept of scaffolding in language learning. So yeah, next approach, methods, and technique. Yeah, effective teaching requires not only knowledge of content but also an understanding of appropriate pedagogical approaches. One widely used approach is communicative language teaching or CLT. This approach emphasizes meaningful communication and the practical use of language rather than memorize uh, grammatical rules. So another important approach is the learner-centered approach, which places students at the center of the learning process and encourage active participation. Among the methods commonly used in TEYL, total physical response or TPR, is particularly effective it yeah because it integrates language learning with physical movement. This method is highly suitable for children who learn through action and experience. So, in another method is the audiolingual method, which focuses on repetition and habit formation through drills and practice. Teacher may also apply techniques such as role plays, prayer work, storytelling, flashcard, pictures, description, and information get activities. The effectiveness of these approaches and technique depend on well, yeah, how well they match learners' need, classroom context, and learning objectives. So song, game, and stories in TYL. Song, games, and stories are often considered essential component of effective TYL because they support both linguistic and effective development. Song provide repetitive and meaningful language exposure. They help students to improve pronunciation, rhythm, vocabulary acquisition, and listening comprehension. So games, games create opportunities for meaningful interaction while reducing anxiety through games environment that promote engagement and participation. So stories stories expose learners to language in context. They stimulate imagination, develop learning, um, develop learning engagement, skills, and enrich vocabulary and encourage critical thinking. So, for example, the song had shoulders, knee, and to support vocabulary learning through movement, vocabulary bingo games encourage active participation. Meanwhile, stories such as The Three Little Pigs help learners understand language through narrative and These activities transform the classroom into an interactive learning environment where language is experiences rather than merely studied. So now let's move to the classroom case example. To illustrate the practical application of TYL principle, let us consider a simple classroom scenario. Imagine that I am teaching colors to second grade elementary school students. The learning objective is for students to identify pronouns and use color vocabulary accurately. The lesson begins with a color song to activate prior knowledge and create a positive atmosphere. So next, I introduce colorful flashcard and model the pronunciation of each color. Students then participate in a color matching game where they work collaboratively to identify colors. Afterwards, students explore the classroom and identify objects based on their colors. They are encouraged to produce simple sentences such as the chair is brown or the book is blue. This lesson integrate listening, speaking, and vocabulary development while maintaining student engagement through meaningful and interactive activities. As a result, students not only learn new vocabulary but also gain confidence in using English for communication. Ah, so last conclusion for this chapter, this topic. In conclusion, teaching English to young learners requires a deep understanding of children's characteristics, learning needs, and developmental stage. Effective TYL is based on meaningful learning, active participation, positive interaction, and supportive classroom environment. Teachers should integrate receptive and productive skills through structured instructional stage while utilizing appropriate approaches, methods, and techniques. Furthermore, songs, games, and stories serve as powerful pedagogical tools that make language learning engaging, memorable, and enjoyable. As future English teachers, it is our responsibility to create learning experiences that not only develop linguistic competence but also inspire curiosity, confidence, and lifelong interest in learning English. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for your nice attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.